championship and the home field advantage, and really the team that won was going to be the champion, get to play in the playoffs at home. But the team that lost was still going to be in the playoffs, so you didn't have that finality of the deal that they have here today. And both coaches feel that today's game, that the winner is going to go on and be in the playoffs somehow, and the loser won't be in the playoffs.
John, really, when you look back at the year, injuries have decimated both teams. The Dallas offensive line is completely remade. The Redskins list of those on injured reserve is too long to even talk about. But there's one player who's been down for a couple of weeks who just told me a few minutes ago on the field, John Riggins, that he feels better than he has all year.
I think that's very important because, as Joe Gibbs told us last night, he said, to beat the Cowboys, we have to be able to run the football. Run the football, they have to have John Riggins. Now, it's interesting that Tom Landry said about the same thing. He said defensively, he said, we have to stop these guys. He said, now to do it, first down is so doggone important. He said, we have to hold them to less than 4 yards on first down. Now, that means stopping John Riggins to 4 yards. I think there's one more interesting thing, and that's the team that scores first in this game. You know, the Redskins, the last 22 games that they have scored first, they've been undefeated. That's not a bad deal.
Jeff Hayes will kick off for the Redskins. Back deep for the Cowboys, Gary Allen and Chuck McSwain. Allen is 31, McSwain's 35. Hayes hits it and hits it deep. It'll go out of the end zone. They'll down it just before it does get out of the end zone, and the Cowboys will take over at their own 20-yard line with this group in command of the act. Danny White, the quarterback, Tony Dorsett and Timmy Newsom, the runners. Wide receivers, Duck Donnelly and Tony Hill up front. Doug Cosby, the tight end. Herbert Scott has moved from guard to tackle. Glenn Titensor is on the other side with him. Rafferty, an ex-guard, is the center. Kurt Peterson and Phil Posderick back from injuries on the right side. We'll give you the Redskin defense in just a second. First down, Dallas, their own 20. There are big games, and then there are big games. This is a big game. Cowboys trying to go to work early. White gets out of it. White to the 27. A gain of 7. Rich Millot. White was trying to go deep, was under heavy pressure, and got 7. On the Redskin defensive side, they play a 4-man front. Mann and Manley, the ends, and Butts and Darrell Grant, the tackles. 2 huge ones. The linebackers, Kaufman, Olkowitz, and Rich Millot. The secondary, Green, Dean, the corners, Coffey and Jordan, the safeties. Second down and 2. White got 8. Newsom and Dorsett, the ball carrier. First down, Dallas. Coffey on the stop. John Madden, the Cowboy offense really hasn't been what you remember and think about in past years about the Cowboy offense.
You know, they always seem to have so many weapons, and they don't have all those weapons anymore. They don't have the Drew Pearson out there. They don't have the Billy Joe Dupree. They don't have the Butch Johnson. And I think they've missed those guys.
First down, Cowboys, their own 32. Tony Hill and Duck Donnelly both split wide to the left. White goes back and looks in that direction. It's Hill. Very near another one. Olkowitz made the hit. Close to a first down. Curtis Jordan also in the bottom of the pile. Weather, it is unseasonably warm here in Texas for this time of year. 74 degrees, humidity 35%, winds west 15 miles an hour. It's supposed to stay just about like this.
You know, if that's going to have any effect, I think it's going to have more effect on the Redskins than the Cowboys.
First down, Dallas. They got 2 in a row.
You know, the Redskins in practice the other day on Wednesday, with the wind chill factor was minus 18 degrees and a little snow in the field. Now, that's practicing in a little different conditions than you're playing in.
Tom Landry, as you mentioned, John, said how very important he thought it was to get on top early.
Well, you know, when the other team, if they get on top, they've won 22-0, so that's very, very important.
It is. Renfro is the man in motion. Here's Dorsett. Dorsett to the 45-46. Mel Kaufman on the stop. Gain of about 5.
Yeah, I'll tell you, watch Darrell Green up here. You know, he's only 5'8", but I'll tell you, he plays the whole game. You know, some corners are real good cover guys, but they don't come up and support and run. Watch Darrell Green get up there and go at Dorsett, the only place you can to tackle him.
Number 28, Darrell Green.
Lively little guy. Got a lot of life
Really?
in him. You know, bright-eyed. I like those kind of guys.
Gonna get married in March, he says. Here's White. Trying to get out of the pocket goes. Tony Hill will have another Cowboy first down, but a penalty marker's down.
The penalty marker is in the area of holding, but it's against the Redskins. It's unnecessary roughness.
A gain of 9. Roughing the passer, I think.
I think they're going to get 15 more here.
Tom Dooley is the referee.
Personal foul. 71 meters. First down.
Against Charles Mann.
He's going to be coming in here from the left of the screen. Now we'll see Danny White throwing the ball, and Charles Mann comes in and hits him from behind, way after the ball was gone.
That'll move it to the Redskin 30 as Joe Gibbs looks on. Washington won the first meeting between these two. That was at RFK. Hill is to the right. Here's Dorsett. Maybe 2, not much more, as Neil Olkowitz filled a hole very quickly. Those of you who watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win for John McKay over Atlanta 23-6, welcome to Texas Stadium. Pat Summerall and John Madden here, where the score is Washington 0, Dallas 0. This is the first offensive series of the game. 11 minutes and 35 seconds left to play in the first quarter. The Cowboys on the move. Clutch game. Crucial game. Newsom and Dorsett behind White. Incomplete. Cosby was the intended receiver. He stopped. White thought he was going to keep going. Let's check out some of the other scores. 1:40 left in St. Louis, with the Cardinals on top of the Giants by 10, 31-21. Chicago with a 1-point lead over Green Bay as Walter Payton has just thrown the touchdown pass. Not from quarterback, although he did work at quarterback for a while. Cincinnati ahead of New Orleans, and Miami 35-17 over Indianapolis. The Dolphins trying for the home field advantage all the way down the stretch. Dorsett is out. Jones is in, and White operates from the shotgun on 3rd and 8. White. Pass is caught by Timmy Newsom. A remarkable throw and a great catch. Darrell Green, the defender, but it's a first down, Dallas.
I'll tell you, Danny White got that ball in there just when it had to, because Darrell Green was zeroing in. Well, watch this hit from the outside. But I'll tell you, Danny White, you talk about threading a needle on 3rd down. This is a thread needle. Watch there. And look at the hit that Timmy Newsom takes from Darrell Green on that play.
Newsom, who weighs 235, starting in the last couple of weeks in place of Ron Springs. The Cowboys on a roll inside the Redskin 20. 1st and 10 from the Washington 17. He has time. He's got Newsom. 10, 5. Another first down. Olkowitz on the stop.
Coming right back to Timmy Newsom. After getting that big first down and the big hit, they come right back with a screen pass. You see him just fake a block here. Now you see him, he starts to slip out to the left. Danny White hits him. He has his lineman out in front. Turns up. Now he's going to run right in between these linemen. Just split those 2 linemen. One blocks in, one blocks out. Here comes Timmy Newsom right into the net. Stuff there. See that stuff there? Yeah, run into that.
1st and goal from the 6. Dorsett and Newsom behind White. Dunley, touchdown.
I tell you, I think the man that needed that more than anyone is Danny White. 4 interceptions last week. His confidence hasn't been up.
a 6 for Danny White in that drive. Rafael Septien for the extra point with Hogaboom holding. The Redskins jump offside.
78 offense.
Oh, beg your pardon. 78 on the offense is John Dutton.
What happens when you get those defensive players over on offense, they don't know about stuff like snap counts and holding and waiting until the ball snap. They want to rush quarterbacks and stuff. Joe Gibbs says, well, that's not the kind of start we had in mind here, men. Offense hasn't even got one sniff at the ball, and they're down by 6.
So they retreat 5 more yards, and this would be like a 25-yard field goal for Septien. And it's good, and it's 7-0.
Here's Doug Donnelly. We see Darrell Green is on him. He's looking to the inside. Donnelly had good position. I don't know, some reason Darrell Green was just frozen there. He just waited. Donnelly just went up, boom, right to the outside and in the end zone.
7-0. The Cowboys over Washington in St. Louis. The Cardinals have beaten the Giants 31-21. So the standings would look like this now, depending upon what happens here at Texas Stadium. The Giant record is the same as St. Louis. Both of them are 9-6. The loser of this one will be 9-6, and the winner of this will have the lead outright in the NFC East.
Well, and that's such a big thing for both of these teams because the Giants were the ones that had all the tiebreakers. They were the ones that, had they won the last 2, they were the division champion. That was the only one you could say that about. So that's all out the door now. So now the winner of this game is going to be in Seoul.
And it sets up a pretty good match for us next week when we go to RFK. Those of you who watched the Cardinals beat the Giants 31-21, welcome to Texas Stadium. We have 9.5 minutes left to play in the first quarter. The Cowboys took the opening kickoff, drove 80 yards, and they lead 7-0. Pat Summerall and John Madden here watching Rafael Septien kick off. Mike Nelms watches it taken back to the corner of the end zone, and the Redskins will start from the 20. The touchdown one more time.
Well, you see Green is playing inside. Doug Donnelly just makes a quick outside cut in the end zone. Danny White goes whap right there, touchdown.
Pretty impressive drive. It was helped once by an unnecessary roughness penalty against the Redskins, but it was still one of their better drives of the year. John Riggins will open as the lone setback for the Redskins. Didier in motion. Fake to Riggins by Theismann, who's going to work quickly if he has time, and he doesn't. Down goes Theismann under the Cowboy heat. Dutton, Jeffco, Randy White, Eugene Lockhart, all of them there. On offense, the Redskins will operate with these people. Theismann, the quarterback. Riggins, the lone setback. Wide receivers will be Mohammed and Monk. Ricky Walker's the tight end. Up front, Warren, Jacoby, Graham, Donnelly, Huff, and Mark May. Lockhart got credit for that sack. It's second down and 14 to the Redskins from their own 16. Theismann back to throw. Gets it out to punt Didier, and Didier gets the Redskins first down. Cut down by Dennis Thurman. 22-yard gain, however. On defense, the Cowboys will go at it like this. A 4-man front, Jones, Dutton, White, Jeffco. The linebackers, Hegman, Lockhart in the middle in place of Brunig, and Anthony Dickerson. And the secondary, Walls and Fellows, the corners, Clinkscale and Downs, the safeties. First down, Redskins, their own 38. 8.5 minutes left to play in the first quarter. Downs runs up to the official just before the Redskins snapped the ball and called a timeout.
Because the Cowboys had too many men on the field. They had the 4-0 defense and the regular defense, and they had 12 men out there.
7-0. Dallas over Washington. We're off to a rollicking start.
The design is bold. The performance, heart-pounding. This is a new kind of Libero, GTS. In the slalom, GTS Premium outperforms BMW 528e, is faster from 0 to 50, and stops quicker than Mercedes 190e. performance seats, available leather-fitted cabin, advanced electronics, and the Chrysler Protection Plan. The Baron GTS, created to outperform Europe's best. It does, I assure you.
When you have a family, it's important to save money. So we really appreciate Allstate's Shape Up and Save rates and discounts. We keep our driving record in shape, and Allstate gives us a better rate on our car insurance. And with Allstate's multi-car discount, we save money because we have a second car. And we sure need a second car.
Shape up and save.
Honey, how much would we save if we needed a third car?
Third car?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
At Texas Stadium, a warm afternoon. A warm game as far as competition is concerned, too. Cowboys leading the Redskins 7-0. Riggins over the left side. He got about 2 before John Dutton takes him down. For an NFL update, let's send you back to New York, Brent Musburger.
Pat, Cincinnati won, so it was up to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And with time running out, Gary Anderson hit this 34-yard field goal. They beat the Browns 23-20. The Steelers must beat now the Raiders next Sunday in Los Angeles. Back to Pat and John.
That Three River Stadium is a bad place for the Cleveland Browns. They have never won there.
It's a bad place if you're any visiting team.
You have some memories, don't you? Theismann scrambles out of the pocket. He can be dangerous when he does this. He slides down at the Dallas 46 after gaining 12 yards.
That's one thing about Joe Theismann. You always have to have someone in his face. The rush has to stay in lanes. Now watch, if you give him a hole, you see that little gap there? The minute that he sees that hole, he's going to break it. And when he breaks it, the linebackers are out in pass coverage. The secondary is out on pass coverage. And that gives Joe Theismann a first down. Look, he's wearing glasses. I've never seen that before.
I haven't either. But that's not while he's playing.
Probably while he's reading and stuff, studying game plans.
On first down, he gives to Riggins. Riggins over the left side gets about 4. Randy White made the stop. Cincinnati beat New Orleans 24-21. They are still alive in the playoff picture. Miami assuring themselves of the home field advantage if they continue to win throughout the playoffs. 35-17 over Indianapolis. And Kansas City, boy, they stirred things up, didn't they? 34-7 over Seattle. Warren moves in motion. Second down. Theismann quickly. For Calvin Muhammad, Fellows was the nearest Cowboy, but as Joe was saying to us last night, everything we do is done on a read, a quick read.
And that's a problem that he's been having with Calvin Muhammad. He's not used to Joe Theismann. Joe Theismann isn't used to him. Now we see Muhammad out here. His option, he says, I got him here. I'm going to go deeper. Theismann says, when the guy was playing there, you should have gone out. Theismann throws it out. Muhammad goes up.
Riggins is out, and Joe Washington, another of the many injured Redskins who's just come back. Here's the setback. Theismann pointing, look out, they're coming. And they are. Theismann gets away. Walls the defender. There is no penalty marker down. It was intended for Art Monk. Theismann did a remarkable job to get out of the blitz by down.
You can tell one thing, this Cowboy defensive game plan is on any passing down to go after Joe Theismann. Look, Downs is coming from the right side right there. He has Theismann. Theismann makes a nice move getting out of it. But boy, does he take a shot as he throws that ball. Whew. You talk about getting someone in a quarterback's face. That's the way to get in a quarterback's face.
Downs and Bates both came on the blitz. Bates applied the hit. Jeff Hayes back to punt. Gary Allen back deep for the Cowboys. Hayes hangs it high. He'll hang up there a long time. They get away from it. In the end zone, they'll bring it back to the 20. Flag is down back at the line of scrimmage. Penalty marker down. 42-yard punt by Jeff Hayes that stayed airborne a long time. It's Dallas. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Well, you know, it's not as tough as it used to be. It used to be that if you had a holding penalty on a punt return, that the other team got the ball back. Now at least you get to keep the ball, and then they'll mark off the penalty from there.
Holding, 89 on the receiving team, post-possession foul, first down.
Tom Dooley with the call of a post-possession foul as Joe Gibbs looks on. 6 minutes and 8 seconds left to play in the first quarter at Texas Stadium, with the Cowboys leading the Redskins by the score of 7-0.
There are lots of ways to communicate over long distances, but with some, you may not be able to reach everywhere you want, anytime you want. And a faraway message may feel far away. But you can always count on AT&T, the only long-distance service that lets you call from anywhere to anywhere with operators standing by. And with AT&T, your calls will sound as close as next door. So why settle for anything less? AT&T, the more you hear, the better we sound.
Reach out and touch someone.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
The TRS-80 Color Computer 2 is a great family gift. On sale only $99.95 with these instant loading program packs. It's a game arcade, a home manager, an educational center, and you can learn to program. It's expandable with a typewriter quality keyboard.
Now this is a family gift I can really afford.
The sale price TRS-80 Color Computer 2, $99.95, only at Radio Shack.
7-0, the Cowboys over the Redskins at Texas Stadium. Green Bay has taken the lead over Chicago with just a few seconds remaining, we understand. Chicago has won the division title, but they need a victory for the home field advantage in the first round of the playoff games, and that looks like it might have escaped them today. They got to beat Detroit next week. Nothing for Dorsett as he tries the left side. Charles Mann on the stop. NFL update coming. Let's go to Brent Musburger.
And Pat, here's the play that did it to the Chicago Bears. Rich Campbell, the third-string quarterback, on the scramble, heaves it. Philip Epps has got it. There were 34 seconds remaining when Green Bay beat Chicago in this game, 2014. Back to Pat and John.
A lot of things changing in a very, very rapid fashion. Second down and 9. The Cowboys at their own 11. They lead 7-0. White has time. Cosby to the 35. Dallas first down. Curtis Jordan stopped it.
That's the other thing the Cowboys have to do if they're going to be successful offensively. Last week, Doug Cosby didn't catch a pass. I've always felt that Doug Cosby was Danny White's favorite target because he's always in the middle like this. And he's so tall. He's 6'6". You can see the big guy, and you get him in the middle like that against linebacker coverage, and he can pick up that 20, 25 for you a lot of times.
Danny White had a poor day in Philadelphia last week. He'd be the first to tell you. Today, he's 6 out of 7. He gets to Newsom. Newsom to the 40.
And Tom Landry stayed with them too. You know, as he said yesterday, he said Danny White did have a bad week last week. He said it was the worst I've ever seen him. He said, but heck, Roger had bad games too.
Roger, of course, being today's honorary captain for the Cowboys. Roger Staubach. Second down and 5. White back to Dorsett. Dorsett strips away from a couple. He might have another Cowboy first down. Kaufman on the tackle. It's close to first down yardage. Looks like they might be about a foot away from a first by Dorsett. Those of you who watch the Packers come from behind to beat the Bears. 20-14. Welcome to Texas Stadium. Pat Summerall and John Madden here with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the first quarter. The Cowboys leading the Redskins by the score of 7-0. Third and short. Newsom barrels for the first down. Very close to midfield. He picked up about 5. Curtis Jordan took him down.
Newsome, of course, is a new starter the last couple games for the Cowboys. That has always been Ron Springs' position, and they're playing about half and half. But Tom Landry said, I just felt that I had to get another big play guy in the offense, and he said that's what Newsome gives us. Of course, then last week, Ron Springs comes in for Newsome and gets that big pass for a touchdown for him.
Nice to have them both, I guess.
Maybe it's the guy on the bench is a big play guy, and the guy that plays is a journeyman. Holy moly.
Tony Hill was somewhat offside.
He just took off. He was about 8 yards downfield before they even threw the flag. Officials didn't even see him. Look at him pointing there. No, it's against him. One guy's going, line judge is saying against the Redskins. The other guy's saying, no. Tony Hill left early. Watch him. The line was shifting. He was watching the line shift. He said, I'll start on the shift. There's Mel Kaufman. He sees him. He looks out there and he points and said, I hit that guy, but the other guy did it.
First down.
I'll bet you he was saying when they were doing all that pointing that somebody on the Redskin defense gave him a phony snap count. However, it didn't work. To Dorsett. No place to go. Darrell Green and Mel Kaufman up for the Redskin defense quickly. Good news for the Denver Broncos as Kansas City just overpowered Seattle 34-7. That doesn't happen to those folks very often.
Yeah, I talked to Jim Plunkett in the offseason once. We were at some charity golf tournament. He says, you know, of all the teams in the NFL that I worry the most about, he said it's the Kansas City Chiefs. He said they're capable of that.
Well, even when you were coaching the Raiders, didn't they always give you a tough time?
Always did.
On second down, White is back to throw. To Tony Hill, complete. Into Redskin territory, not enough for a first down as Monty Coleman comes up with a tackle, 9-yard gain.
Tony Hill did a nice job here. Look, he's in the slot. He does a nice job of using his body to ward off the defender. Watch him here. He comes. He's going to run a little hook. Now watch him stop back here. That's the option. The guy's inside. Now see how he just turned his shoulders to the outside just to move the linebacker out as he could catch the ball. Monty Coleman was right there, and he just kind of edged him right out with his shoulder.
3rd and 7 of the Redskin 48. Duriel Harris is in the game as a third wide receiver. Outside Tony Hill. Anthony Washington was the defender, but another good throw by Danny White. And a good effort by Tony Hill.
That's a good read. Here, you see what you can tell him is Tony Hill get in the shade and run up to the sun and then run out. See, he runs right into the sun. That's where he's running the out. That gives him a first down and everything. Run at the end of the shade to the sun, boom, turn left and I'll hit you.
First down, Cowboys, the Redskin 37. White is now 8 out of 9. To about the 35. Rich Millott, the bottom of the pile, along with Dave Butts for the Redskins.
I'll tell you, it's kind of tough to run in there when you get a big Darrell Grant and Dave Butts in there. Those guys weigh 300 pounds. Sometimes you can run away from them with a little success. When you try and run right at them, who's going to move them out so you can run at them? No one moved them out.
I'd guess most of those Dallas offensive linemen are converted guards. The Redskins probably outweigh them by about 35, 40 pounds a man. Posby, the tight end, is to the right, and Danny White calls a timeout. That's 2 of them they've used now. They only have 1 left. Tom Landry, who has just said, let's put all this stuff about me retiring to rest. I'm going to be back.
Over the years, we've watched old number 51 retire a lot of ball carriers, but tonight we're going to retire him. So let's do it his way. Turn over those wine glasses and bring on the Lowenbrow.
remember, if you guys start messing up, I'm coming back.
Let it be low and proud.
Chrysler creates a more powerful laser because the competition is always on our tail, and we intend to keep them there. We boosted turbo power. 0 to 50 Laser XE is faster than Toyota Supra. Front-wheel drive laser beats Camaro's E28 in a slalom. And Laser XE has advanced electronics, marked cross leather available, and the Chrysler protection plan. Laser XE, the competition is good. We had to be better. Chrysler, the best built, best backed American cars.
Texas Stadium. 25 seconds left to play in the first quarter. Dallas 7, Washington nothing. A game that means everything. The winner of this one is going to have outright first place in the NFC East. The draw play to Dorsett. He got nothing as Rich Malott had everything figured out.
I think one thing on a draw that you know that they're going to be keying Tony Dorsett. Malott is probably watching there because he doesn't want. He knows that they can throw a screen or a draw, and watch him right there. He sees Dorsett stay. The guard blocks back. He just steps right up in that hole, and he's in there before Dorsett can get to the line of scrimmage.
They had that one defensed pretty well, about as well as you can. He had the right key, made the right tackle. 7-0 at the end of one at Texas Stadium. Dallas over Washington.
You know, when we put 5-year 50,000-mile powertrain protection on every Chrysler-built car, we invited GM, Ford, and everybody else to do the same. Instead, they put better powertrain protection on their expensive Lincolns and Cadillacs than on their Fords and Chevys. Now, that's not right, since it's a little guy who made them so big. Well, we have another invitation. We're putting the same 550 protection on every Dodge truck we build. And we invite the industry to follow us, to put 5-year, 50,000-mile protection on a truck. They owe it to America. No matter whether you buy a Chrysler-built car or truck, pay $6,000 or $16,000, buy a Plymouth, Dodge, or Chrysler, you get 550 protection. The name is Plymouth, the quality is Chrysler. The name is Dodge, the quality is Chrysler. So is the protection. We have one and only one ambition for Chrysler, to be the best. What else is there?
Here's to good friends.
Terrific reunion.
Yeah. The last time we were here, we made history. Night is kind of special. I stole that ball. I made the pass. I made the shot. Make that shot again, we'll buy you a low and drop. The beer will pour.
Hey, what can I tell you? We still got it.
Never lost it. Let it be low and brown.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Lowenbrau. When it's time for the taste of a truly great beer, let it be Lowenbrau. The new Chrysler Corporation. We don't want to be the biggest, we just want to be the best. And by Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
Boy, you look at the time of possession, as you know, of course, if you watch the game here ever, that the roof is not covered. There is a roof. And that's the reason for the difference in the daylight. White goes on third down from the shotgun. Duriel Harris broke it to the outside. White threw it to the inside. The Cowboys will have to punt. In the first quarter, Dallas had 10 first downs to 2 for the Redskins. Look at that bottom one, John.
Well, that's a big one, and especially important against the Redskins because they're one of those ball control type teams. You know, John Riggins is back. They want to run the ball at you, play pass, those types of things. And when you only have the ball 3 minutes and the other guys have it 11, it's hard to have a ball control. That makes sense.
Mike Nelms back deep for the Redskins, and Danny White will punt for Dallas. Looking, gets it away, goes way right, aiming for out of bounds, and bounces into the end zone. Took a strange bounce. It looked like he had it. but they'll bring it back to the 20. 39-yard punt. So we're in the second quarter, just started. The Cowboys lead the Redskins in this crucial match, 7-0.
A stereo might not help your child get ahead in school. A bicycle can't help your child get into college. A video recorder might not prepare kids for a career. But a Commodore computer can do all of the above, and it can do it for less money. Only Commodore can give you a computer as powerful as the Commodore 64 for a price as low as the Commodore 64.
Do you have anything in aviation?
The Army's most technical training
Are there any openings in communications?
is also the Army's most popular training.
I'd really like computers.
So it pays to have a reservation.
Electronics.
If you qualify, you can get a guaranteed reservation for the training you want up to 12 months in advance, even if you're still in high school.
We'll see you after graduation.
This is great.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Dallas 7, Washington nothing. Roger Staubach in the Ring of Honor, today's honorary captain.
That old Rogers is fired up as any of them down there in that side.
Yeah, I guarantee you. Here's Riggins over the right side. Rumbles for about 2 or 3 before Ed Jones is the initial Cowboy to make contact.
You know what surprised me, Pat, on that third down that the Cowboys went for the end zone when had they just completed, 5 or 10 yards, they would have been in field goal position for Raphael Septien, but they decided to go for the whole loaf there.
And they got a misread between the quarterback and the wide receiver. Second down at 7. Redskins have it at their own 23. Motion is Didier. Riggins on the counter. Broncos in front. Riggins has the first down. Michael Downs takes him down after a gain of 12.
Remember, we were talking to John Riggins, and he says, all I do on that counter is take a little move to the left, and then I follow number 66, Joe Jacoby. Now watch Jacoby. He and Grimm both are going to pull. See Jacoby? Now Riggins, he says the first thing I look for is 66, and just run right off his block. He just put Dennis Thurman on the ground, and he didn't even have to bend over to do it. Well, that's all he did. Just bent over to boom, here. Whap.
Dennis Thurman doesn't want to go into that forest again. First down, Redskins. They give to Riggins again. He's over the right side for maybe 3. Randy White on the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, talking about Randy White, we were talking to Russ Grimm last night, number 68, the left guard for the Redskins. And he said the toughest guy I have to play all year is Randy White. He said, but I'll tell you one thing, he's a lot tougher here in Texas Stadium than he is up in Washington. He said, I think he's a better player on artificial turf. He said, but that doesn't mean it. I mean, he's tough anywhere you go.
Well, he's so quick. Riggins said before the game, I feel better than I have all year. And he's running like he does. The fake is to Riggins. It's outside to Art Monk. Catch number 89 for him this year. He leads the entire NFL. First down, Redskins.
I tell you, he's been an outstanding player for these Redskins because they've had so many injuries. And, when Charlie Brown went down, they started to lose their receivers. Art Monk was the only healthy one they had, and he had to play left, right, the middle. And I'll tell you, Joe Gibbs said he's done the most outstanding job he's ever seen by a wide receiver.
Monk would be up on that list we just looked at with a few more catches. Bates is in the game as a linebacker. Here he comes. Handoff is to Riggins. Riggins is to midfield. Mike Heckman wrapped him up. Last time these two met was earlier this year up at RFK Stadium. We were there. Riggins put on some show. That's the book on what he did that day.
And that's the type of team the Redskins are. I mean, they have to be able, they got that big offensive line, the Hogs. They got to pound that big Riggins in there behind them. And that sets up everything else they do, all the play passes and those types of things.
Second down. They need 5. Theismann drops and throws. Calvin Muhammad had the throw, and he dropped.
I'll tell you, he did, and it wasn't one of those things that he heard footsteps. You know, a lot of people say that, but the thing that Muhammad was trying to do here is he was just trying to start running. I'll tell you, old Riggins, he'll run with that ball when he has to, but he'll come in and he'll help on that pass protection, too. Do you see him in there on Anthony Dickerson?
Pretty good joke. 3rd and 5. Ball at midfield. Joe Washington has taken Riggins' place. Theismann outside. Monk. Everson Walls on the coverage. Good throw from Theismann, and Monk has catch number 90.
And that was very close to a touchdown here because Walls almost misses. He almost lets Monk get away. It's only for the sideline. Watch here. He catches the out. Now, he starts thinking the sideline had. He started thinking of turning up. There was no one behind. There was no one behind Walls there. That's the one they have on the chalkboard there, but they have him going like up, in, and up, deep. He went up and out on that one.
Did you do that?
Yeah. Last night I do it in my room on the sheet.
Theismann quickly outside to Calvin Muhammad. And that one's over for the time being. Walls is up there with him. Pickup of about 5.
Talking about pickups, when the Redskins picked up Calvin Muhammad from the Raiders, that was a good pickup for them. And Joe Gibbs was saying last night that they've had so many injuries, but one good thing could come out of it. And he said it's this guy right here, Calvin Muhammad, because he could be good for us for a number of years.
Here's something we haven't seen the Cowboys do, John. They take Dickerson out and put Bill Bates in as a linebacker. John Warren, the motion man. Riggins over the right side. Lunges. He's going to be close. He may have the first down. I think he does. Randy White tripped him up. By the way, the word on Darrell Grant, the defensive tackle for the Redskins, is that he has a strained left knee. And at this point, it's unknown whether or not he'll be able to return.
You know, the Redskins have always been a 2 tight end type of team. Now they're using a lot more 3 wide receiver look, and that's why the Cowboys have an extra defensive back in.
1st and 10 from the 27. Redskins trying to tie it up. Theismann, I think, calling an audible. He gets to Riggins straight ahead. And Riggins barrels down to about the 12. Dexter Clinkscale. Michael Downs tripped him up. That, I'm sure, was an audible.
Well, when Riggins told you that he was ready to go and he feels better than he has all year, looks like he knew what he was talking about before the game. Watch this. It's a little log play. Center blocks back. The left guard comes up on the middle linebacker. Riggins just follows him right in there. It takes a couple to bring that big guy down when he gets started, gets those shoulders square.
It sure does. 8 carries, 51 yards for Riggins. Good block by Grimm, as you pointed out. Riggins again. This time he is hammered down right at the line of scrimmage. Jim Jeffcoat and Randy White.
Randy White made a nice move on that one. He started an inside charge. Grimm started taking him to the inside. White was strong enough just to stop. Let's see if we can see it. Watch Randy White. He's going to start inside towards us here. Grimm starts taking him that way. White is so strong he could stop and work back and get that one arm out there to slow up Riggins. Look at those arms. No wonder one of them can slow up a guy.
He might be having his best year ever. That's the book on Riggins today.
Grimm would say so.
Yep. 2nd down and 9. Theismann back. Pumps it down the middle. It's batted down. Ed Jones got the big hand on it. That's the 14th pass he's knocked down this year. That's like having another defensive back.
Well, you know it is, because you can block Ed Too Tall Jones, but he's 6'9". And all he has to do is get his hands up. Now watch him here on the left of the screen. He's coming inside. See, he's really pass protect pretty well. You see, he's so big until he just goes whap and just knocks that thing down. Of course, there was Lockhart right there on Theismann. Watch.
the first man there.
That's why they have Bates in there. Bill Bates comes from the left of the screen. Let's watch him right here on that blitz. Theismann gets a big push up the middle, too, but watch number 40 come from the left of the screen. See, he looks like he's covering. It's a little delay. He goes past the blocker, and Theismann couldn't do anything. That was a pretty good push by the whole deal.
The attempt by Mosley is good from 31 yards out, and the Redskins get on the board. It's 7-3, Dallas leading. 8.5 minutes left to play in the first half. 7-3, Cowboys over the Redskins.
We're a team that's going places, hitting the road for the open spaces, working or playing, we're easy and free. My Ford truck and me, my Ford truck and me, a tough Ford truck and me.
When you're serious about your work and serious about your play, too, you'll go for the one that's built Ford tough.
A tough Ford truck and me.
So this is the new log cabin. Thanks for giving me a hand.
Hey, what are friends for?
Here's to good friends. Tonight's kind of special. Try it this way. The beer we'll pour says something more somehow. Looks like we're about done, huh? Not yet, you're not. Tonight. Not a bad day's work. Next weekend, we put in the pool. Let it be low and brown.
Wednesday, it's romance, it's adventure, but mostly it's laughs when Mel Brooks, Cleavon Little, Gene Wilder, Harvey Korman, and Madeline Kahn star in Blazing Saddles.
The Redskins went 66 yards, took 14 plays to get it there. Mosley hit from 31 yards out. Hayes kicks off. Chuck McSwain to the 23. By the way, Bates got credit for a half a sack along with Jeffcoat when they knocked Theismann down before the field goal. And perhaps we'll have a chance to look at that in just a moment. Dallas 7, Washington 3.
The Monaco Grand Prix circuit is simply the toughest.
Jackie Stewart, 4-time winner at Monaco, returns to test a Thunderbird Turbo Coupe.
Monaco demands a car that's got a very well-balanced suspension and at the same time is aerodynamically good. This balance between the suspension and the car's aerodynamics makes a big difference in how a car drives. Ford understands this.
Have you driven the best-built American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
I'm starved. What do you have? How about the turkey croquettes?
How about a personal computer?
Who are you? You're not my regular waiter.
I'm Ralph. I like surprising people.
Nice-looking machine. Sharp graphics.
Runs all the top software.
Who makes it?
Oh, NCR. It's the NCR PC4. Surprised?
Well, no, NCR's been in computers for years.
I'd like to order. I know. Turkey croquettes. So, the NCR personal computer. Surprised? Yes.
A better computer. It's exactly what you'd expect from NCR.
Dallas 7, Washington 3. John Riggins had his jersey off for a moment. Now he's putting his pads back on. I don't think it's an injury problem. I think it's just an equipment adjustment. Tony Dorsett is the lone setback. As White goes back to throw. As time goes for Cosby. Almost. Curtis Jordan, the defender.
Yeah, that's about as good a throw as you can make and not have a completed pass. You talk about something just being inches off the fingertips. In fact, that was probably a catchable ball. I think had Cosby just run through that one a little more, he would have had it. Can't blame Danny White for that one.
No, you can't.
Hey, he is a lot more confident today than I have seen him this season.
Now we have Ron Springs, the fullback. Here come the Redskins. Here go the Cowboys with the screen pass, and look out for this. Dorsett down the sideline, out of bounds by Darrell Green.
Ready? He gets the first block right there. Tony Hill, number 80, is just going to get a little hold up right there, just enough to let Dorsett get up the sidelines. And see right there, he stepped out of bounds just before Darrell Green knocked him out of bounds. You know, these wide receivers don't have to make big blocks. All they have to do is just getting away a little, like Tony Hill did there on Curtis Jordan. You see, just that little getting away, let Dorsett get by him.
This is Newsom rambling into the Redskins secondary. Newsom down the sideline. Kaufman takes him out of bounds.
That's why Tom Landry put Jimmy Newsom in the offense as a starter. But I need a big play guy in there, a guy who may pop a run once in a while, who may catch a big pass. Just got by Dave Butts there, made a nice cut to the outside against all the grain, and then up the sideline, and Darrell Grant just catches him from behind. That's a right guard, number 65 there, Kurt Peterson. He just hit Butts and then just pushed him with his right hand enough to let Timmy Newsom get by.
Keep in mind now that injury we told you about a minute ago. Darrell Grant is not playing defense for the Redskins. This is Dorsett. Dorsett to the 3. Olkowitz made the tackle.
See Tom Landry over there. He has his play chart. He has all the players looking in, see what he's going to call next. Now what Joe Gibbs is doing, he's writing down some notes of plays and things that he wants to do now that he's down in a different situation. He's writing down some plays that he's going to call the next time they get the ball.
And the way things have been going, they're not going to get the ball very much. Second down from the 2. White rolling. Cosby touchdown. For the extra point with Hogaboom holding.
Tell you, the thing that made that touchdown was Danny White here. He fakes in here. He fakes the run. Then he stops. He puts the ball on his hip. And then he gets outside and hits Cosby out here in the end zone. But watch the fake that he makes in here. Now watch him. Right there, you see him put the ball on his right hip. Now he comes out here, and now here comes Doug Cosby sneaking around from the other side, and he hits him for the touchdown.
Did you see where Cosby came from?
Came from the left side.
All the way on the other side. Landry likes it.
I built my first house when I was 10. It was just a tree house, but it's still up there, and I'm still building the last. My partner and I, we have a waiting list longer than this beam because we don't cut corners. We charge a fair price. Pretty much the same reasons we drink Meisterbräu. Sure, we could pay more for beer, but this has a great full-bodied taste without a big price. Come on, guys. We've earned ourselves a cold one today. How's it going?
Meisterbräu, big taste, without the big price.
Tuesday, she was an abused peasant girl whose revenge was to become a plaything of the rich.
Loving me is expensive.
But she would live one of the greatest love stories ever told, Camille.